Okay, so here we go. What we're going to do is I am going to go through the lecture and then I'm going to give you work time on the FAST assignment. Okay, so let's get started with looking at lesson 4.3, and I'm actually going to shut my camera off here. Okay, and take a look at lesson 4.3. So I had mentioned earlier that on the test that we'll probably have something with classical, with an operant scenario, but you're also going to need to know what does learning look like in the real world, or how is it used in therapy and parenting. We're also going to be looking at biological and cognitive influences. So here is what we are looking at here. So if you want in your notes, you can write lesson 4.3 if you do that. Okay, and then it's just application of and influences on learning. Okay, so our purpose for this part of the lesson, okay, is to be able to apply principles of learning and then explain both biological and cognitive influences on learning. Now, we have been looking at the true behaviorists here when we look at Watson and Skinner, and they would not have agreed with biological and cognitive influences. Okay, so we're really looking at learning much later in like the 1960s compared to the 1920s. Okay, so what are we doing for the rest of this time? So this is going to be relevant for my day 1 and day 2 students. We're going to begin the lesson, and then we're going to look at the application of learning, which is we'll look at classical, then operant. Then we're going to look at the influences on learning, and we're only going to get through biological today. Okay, and then the Wednesday lesson is cognitive and observational learning. So if you're a day 3 or day 4 student and watching this part is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so let's first take a look at application of classical conditioning. Okay, so with the application of classical conditioning, we are going to be looking at how this is utilized in advertising. Now, one key aspect of advertising is trying to get you to feel a certain way about a product. Okay, because we, as far as with purchasing, we really operate on emotion much more so than logic. Okay, so if we were, obviously we use logic as well, but if we were to, if logic dominated what we bought, we would have much more savings in our country, right? Because logically, I don't need, this, I think the strangest thing that I own, and my mom bought it for me, is it's like something that goes around a sponge, like in the sink for your dishes, so it doesn't bend. Like, I don't even understand. I ended up throwing it away because it just laid there and it was so obnoxious. Okay, that is not logical, okay, to buy that. So advertisers want to appeal to your emotions, and they do this through classical conditioning. So what we want to do is associate a feeling with a product, okay, so that you buy the product. Okay, so I want to have a conditioned response, and maybe in this case, it's coziness, warmth, happiness, humor, excitement. Okay, trying to associate the why. And I think one of the greatest products, and I do want to tell you, I have this product, okay, because I showed this video, and a class bought me a Forever Lazy, and not just a Forever Lazy, a Sloth Forever Lazy, because I'm kind of obsessed with sloth. So I got to show you this product. It's just really great.
On lazy days when it's chilly, turning up the heat costs money, and wrestling with blankets is silly. This one's too big, that one's too small, and a blanket can't cover it all. If you want to stay warm, you need Forever Lazy, the one-piece, lie-around, lounge-around, full-body lazy wear that covers you from head to toe in soft, warm fleece. Just slip it in, zip it, and get lazy. Now you're toasty warm from head to toe, and your hands and feet stay free, so you can talk on the phone, enjoy a good book, do homework, or just do nothing at all. Forever Lazy is made of ultra-soft, breathable fleece, and it's oversized for that baggy, comfortable, lazy day, perfect pajama feeling you love. Party it up with friends, or enjoy some downtime with pets, and do it all while staying warm, comfortable, and lazy. Forever Lazy comes in 4 stylish colors in sizes to fit everyone in the family, so you can all watch the big game together while Dad does what he does best. Whether you're raiding the fridge during a commercial break or cramming for a college exam, Forever Lazy keeps you comfy cozy. With a drawstring hoodie to keep the chilly weather away, Forever Lazy is the best way to stay warm outdoors. It will be the talk of your next tailgate, and you'll stay warm and comfortable through the entire game. Uh-oh, gotta go? No worries. Forever Lazy has zippered hatches in front and back for great escapes when duty calls. And now Forever Lazy in any size is...
Oh gosh, it's so great. Okay, so I'll have to bring mine in so you can see this thing, my sloth Forever Lazy. So what we're looking at here, and you're actually apply this on your FAFSA assignment, okay, is looking at, and don't write this down, okay, but looking at what is the unconditioned stimulus versus the unconditioned response, okay, and again, the response here is comfort. Okay, and if we actually, why don't we go ahead and let's open up FAFSA 4.3. We'll just do this one together, and then I will give you work time to find your own advertisement. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and open up FAFSA 4.3 at this time. Okay, and we will actually just look at the Forever Lazy and how you do this with advertising. Okay, so here, the response is going to be something with like coziness, maybe warmth. Okay, so what naturally makes you feel cozy? What would you say in this that they're really emphasizing? What naturally makes you cozy is being what? Yeah, like, and not just a blanket. I guess the blanket could lead to warmth, okay? But like warm, if you're warm, are you cozy? Okay, so that's what they're trying to do. So really what we're looking at here is the unconditioned stimulus could be warmth and the unconditioned response could be cozy. Okay, so we're trying to associate with cozy. So what do we want to associate then with warmth? What's the product? The Forever Lazy. So the conditioned stimulus, okay, is going to be the product in the advertisement. Okay, so when we again look at the Forever Lazy, okay, and then you'll go and do this later. I want to continue with the lecture and just give you like a bulk work time. Okay, is that we are looking at here that the unconditioned stimulus is going to be warmth. The unconditioned response is going to be coziness. So the conditioned stimulus will always be the product that the advertisers are trying to get you to buy. And in this case, it's the Forever Lazy. And then the conditioned response is going to continue to be coziness. It's just that we associate coziness with this instead of something else. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. So you will find anything, and you can find humor, you can find, a variety of things within advertising that they're trying to appeal to your emotions. Okay, so the next part then that we're looking at is how does therapy use principles of classical conditioning? Okay, so therapy is going to use principles of classical conditioning. And the first type that I want to look at is called systematic desensitization. Okay, and I actually went, and I don't know if it's true, I mean, it was just a picture on the internet, but Wisconsin, the highest fear reported, according to this source, was spiders. Would you agree that spiders are probably pretty creepy around us? Okay, yeah, I feel like we don't have any that can kill us, though. That's the thing. So what we're looking at here, let's say somebody has a phobia. Okay, and really what this is a gradual type of exposure therapy, and we're trying to create a different response. Okay, so here, a person who is, and a phobia is much more than a fear, because a phobia is going to interfere with their lives. So if somebody is really afraid of spiders, they may avoid going into basements where there could be a spider. Or if they have to go into a basement and just the thought that there might be a spider causes severe anxiety, you might be looking at a phobia. If somebody won't go into the woods because there are spiders and they're just constantly worried there might be a spider, that could be more of a phobia. So here, they have to rank how afraid or how anxiety provoking it would be. And you can see here, thinking about a spider is a 10, but letting a spider actually crawl on their bare arm would be 100. Okay, so what they do is they create this hierarchy, okay, and they counter or recondition. Okay, so the original response is going to be anxiety. We're going to try to create a neutral response. Okay, so what has to happen is the person, in this case, the client, is going to have to learn relaxation techniques, Okay, and then go through this hierarchy, which is that systematic desensitization. So they learn relaxation techniques, and then they have to think about a spider, and let's say they rank them, to 100. Okay, or like you have the scale of 100 here, which is kind of high. I'm going to switch it to 10. Okay, that a 10 would be the most worst thing that they could think of. I'm not going to just put a spider on somebody's arm. Okay, first I'm going to have them think about a spider. Then I'm going to have them look at a photo, etc. Okay, so here's the actual process or the steps. First, the person has to learn relaxation techniques. And those relaxation techniques, I should put here, are going to be a new conditioned response. Okay, so the relaxation techniques would be a new conditioned response. Okay, so you can put CR after that. Then what happens, okay, is you have to create that hierarchy. So that previous slide, I just had that hierarchy. Looking at a photo is going to be much worse than actually looking at a real spider that's like in a glass case. Okay, and you're going to start with what's the least anxiety provoking and then work your way up. Okay, and then finally, implement and take action. So basically what happens is, let's say the person looks at a picture of a spider and they say their anxiety is at a 7, and they agreed beforehand that they want their anxiety at a 4. They're going to do these relaxation techniques until the person gets down to a 4 when looking at a spider. Then the next picture may be that there's an actual spider in the room next to us, okay? And that is an anxiety of 7. The person has to do relaxation techniques until they get down to a 4. Then they have to have a spider in the room with them, okay? Anxiety's at an 8. Again, relaxation techniques bring it down to a 4. Not going to totally get rid of the anxiety, but at least it's a manageable level of anxiety. Okay. The other type then is something called aversive conditioning, which isn't going to be used too much. Okay. Essentially what you're doing here is you are trying to associate a stimulus with a new response. Okay. So in this case, okay, I'm going to do alcohol and drug example. Okay. Now the drug here is actually a drug that if you take the drug and drink alcohol, the person gets violently ill. Okay, so what we're trying to do here is associate drinking with a bad response. Okay, so before, it might be that they associated drinking with fun, relaxation. Okay, and really what it's trying to do here is to condition somebody to not want to drink. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, we know I've had you guys do food aversions, and oftentimes if you have a food aversion and you get sick once, you may never eat that food again. Just one pairing. Okay, here, okay, do you think that this person probably knows they're taking a drug that's actually causing this nausea? Yes. Okay, do you think that they know that they could just stop taking the drug? Yes. Okay, there is a dark side of psychology here, and we know that, we've seen on Ethical Things, that they try to do aversive conditioning with like people who are homosexual. Okay, it's called conversion therapy, and what they might do is associate like the physical attraction with something like pain. Okay, so like shocking people, okay, when they became like sexually aroused or something like that. Okay, so we look at it with like unethical studies in psychology, and that would be one of them. Okay, so again, it can be used, probably not the most effective though, okay, because all that person has to do is stop drinking. Now, or stop taking the drug. So here you will do part A, so you're gonna find your own advertisement, and then I want you to think about if there's a behavior that you could recondition yourself. We're not gonna do it right now, we're gonna move on here. Okay, so we're going to look now at the application of operant conditioning, and I think the greatest way to do this is to watch Super Nanny. Okay, so here with Super Nanny, yes, that child is in the fridge. Okay, somehow last year this turned into a joke, like anytime somebody would do something wrong, they're like, you're going in the fridge. But I think the kid actually put himself in there. So how many, have you seen Super Nanny? Do you know kind of what's about? So what it is that these parents essentially have lost control of their kids. So they call in the Super Nanny. And the Super Nanny is going to teach the parents how to parent more effectively. Okay. So here's kind of the before, and then this is after Super Nanny comes. And it's pretty short, but it's great.
Here in Studio City, another family awaits my help, so let's take a look.
Hi, we're the Claus family.
I'm Lori, the mom,
I'm Ken, the father,
and we have 2 children. Our daughter is Kayla, age 8.
Yes, you have!
and our son Brandon, who is age 11.
Oh, you want to dance? I'm a stay-at-home mom. Okay, are you guys coming to dinner or not? Lock the door again.
Okay, Mom.
How many times have I told you not to lock the freaking door?
And I'm a software engineer who works from home, which makes me very accessible to the family.
Although Ken is physically here, he's not really as available as I think he thinks he is. Ken is so absorbed in his own work that I think he tunes out all the conflicts with the kids.
Don't pay attention, my shoes!
As parents, I feel like we've lost the battle for Brandon and Kayla. This is not.
It's a place
Get your
of
feet out of the
joy.
fridge. No, you're 11 years old. At your
wanna
age,
be
come
Kayla.
on, you're 11.
Why are you sitting?
I really don't know how to deal with Kayla's sassy attitude. Kayla, I'm telling you.
Shut up.
I'm not going to shut up.
You shut up.
Don't even flip me off. Put that finger back where it belongs.
Well, such an ass. Oh, God. This little girl with that amount of sass. Not in front of me.
Okay, you're not going to stand in a refrigerator. I would say the biggest issue with Brandon is anger management.
Brandon, why don't you just act like a nice little boy? Come out.
Nice little boy, my ass. I'm not a nice little boy.
My take on homework in this family is homework is dreadful.
You need to at least spend an hour on the project.
No.
I really want you to work on this without television.
Okay, wait. Can I watch a little bit of it and then do my homework?
What time is this thing over at?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock
Can
at
I
night.
start it at 9:15?
Right, you have 15 minutes. I want you to look this over.
When did homework become negotiable?
I feel that I have given up so much of my own life to make a better life for our 2 children. I didn't have 2 parents for me when I grew up. I was the one that put myself through college. I was the one that got
crying?
Yeah, because it frustrates me because I'm trying to help you.
Okay, I'll read. A few victims here.
I feel like I have to be the ticking clock for everybody. You need to budget your time. Come on. Tick tock, tick tock. I totally feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Ken and Kayla, dinner's ready. You guys, dinner. Okay, are you guys coming to dinner or not? Am I getting by myself again? Okay. I'm emotionally and physically drained to the point where I feel like I'm just gonna break down.
This lady's carrying so much emotion.
Super Nanny, please help us. We desperately need you.
Mom and Dad, I've seen enough. Trust me, I'm on my way.
If you're a race fan at all, you know who the Andrettis are because they've been racing forever.
My dad has taken us here for as long as I can remember.
I mourn for my kids.
Wait here, don't. Let me get dressed. Let's get dressed. Let me get hot water. Wait here, don't. Let me get dressed. No! Don't push me.
I need it now!
Don't. You just hit me in the face. Don't you hit me. Don't push me.
I need it now!
You come in your room. Oh, don't you bite me.
I got you back now!
You have it when you're done getting dressed. Don't push me.
She needs to do what she needs to do
I know, but she's not
first.
getting dressed.
Every time we need to go somewhere, every time we need to do something, it's always this behavior.
Was I seeing right? An 8-year-old throwing a fit like she's some 4-year-old.
This is ridiculous.
Do you want to go
Completely
outside?
ridiculous.
Parents allowing their 8-year-old daughter to hold control over them like a 4-year-old. I was totally stunned.
It takes 1 minute to put clothes on, and you can have your toy back.
Where do you want to get dressed? Fine, then get dressed in here. Here's your clothes. Brandon and I are leaving.
Excuse me? What is going on here?
Somebody doesn't want to get dressed.
Somebody doesn't want to get dressed.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been happening?
Temper tantrum?
Yeah.
Power struggle?
Yeah. Right, so where are we now? Why is she in this room?
Because she said she wants to get dressed in here.
So what is she doing to you right now?
Right now, it's stressing me out.
When I walked into the bedroom and asked Mum what was going on, she told me everything was fine now. I'm like, are you kidding me? What is going on here? So what do you need to do now?
Make sure she gets dressed.
So how are you going to change that?
Get control.
Yeah, how are you going to do that?
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to show you. This behaviour is unacceptable. Do you understand me? Do you understand what I'm saying? I want you to go straight back into your bedroom. I want you to put your clothes on. And when you've done that, I want you to go and see Mummy. Do you understand me? Right now. Right now. I don't think Kayla has ever been spoken to very firmly. I think Kayla has been mollycoddled with sweet, sweet sing-song voices, or she's been yelled at. I was clear, and I showed her I meant business. And she got herself up from the bedroom and into her own and started to get herself dressed. What did I do?
You raised your voice.
Observe what I did.
You want me to say it? Kayla, get your clothes on right now and go get dressed.
So how do you sound?
If I'm more firm, then I'll be more authoritative.
So why didn't you use her?
Oh, I definitely back down when it comes to Kayla. Some ways I'm strong, but in many ways I'm very weak.
Do you know why your toy was taken away from you today? Yes, you do know. You do know why your toy was taken away. I know you know. Was you listening and doing as you were told?
No.
No, exactly. Okay, let's get one thing clear here. You're being asked to do something. If your mum and dad tell you to get yourself dressed, then you must respect your parents and listen. Because if you don't, then there's going to be consequences for that. What do you need to do?
Do it.
Exactly. Was she happy? No. Did she cry? Yes. But did she do it? Yes. What are we doing here? What are you doing? I walked past Kayla's bedroom to see Mum apologising for the discipline that Kayla had just received. I mean, this mum has just undermined everything that we have just accomplished. You went in there because of what?
Feeling guilty.
And why did you feel guilty?
Because I saw her sad.
Listen to what is coming out of your mouth. You feel guilty because you've asked your 8-year-old to do what I successfully get 3-year-olds to do. So do you think she's going to remain sad for the rest of the day? Do you think she's going to grow up hating you? Seriously, is that what you think? You want to sort this out, you better take it seriously with me, because I've come in here 100% willing to help you, and I want you on board. Aren't we here for your kids to teach them, for you to feel empowered as a parent? Then allow me to do that.
Okay.
Laurie is absolutely petrified that she is not going to have a good relationship with her own daughter. And that is what's stopping her from disciplining her own daughter.
It was truly an eye-opener to see the observation of other people, of how they see me.
Brandon's in 5th grade and Kayla's in 3rd grade. And at 9 o'clock, these kids should be getting ready for bed. Not doing.
All right, so let's take a look at the parenting styles here. So what stood out most to you with this parenting style here? Were you surprised when she was like rubbing her back and apologizing for disciplining her? We're going to look at, and this is going to be something that will be part later in the FAST assignment that you'll be working on tomorrow, is actually looking at with parenting techniques, how we utilize both reinforcement and punishment, as well as acquisition and extinction. Okay, and what I did here is, this is supposed to be covering the CS and UCS. Okay, it's not. Okay, so I wanted this to cover up the CS and UCS. Basically what this is just, it's looking at what we had done with classical conditioning, okay, but adding in, applying it to operant conditioning. So let me explain the chart and then I'll go back to the reinforcement and punishment. But when we look at acquisition, okay, obviously here, it was Kayla, I think the little girl's name was, that she had learned that if she threw the tantrum, she would get what she wanted. Okay, so that's one thing with reinforcement. We do not have to reinforce good behavior. Ideally, we want to. Okay, but bad behavior can be reinforced as well. So the mom may give her the toy, so then she learns the next time she's going to throw this tantrum. 8 years old is way too old to be throwing a tantrum like this. Okay, that's much more like she said, like ages 3. Okay, like toddler. So here, you're going to have to relearn, okay, during the acquisition phase that this behavior is going to be a different consequence, or you have to have extinction. Okay, and extinction is going to be that she throws a tantrum, but what does she never get? She never gets the toy. Okay, and I know some people yesterday were saying that one student said that her mom, if she was like being really naughty, her mom would throw away a toy. And like, she'd throw away a toy, which is super hardcore. I know I've had like a family friend, their son was going through a really difficult time. She went and got his favorite toy and then made him donate it. Okay, so like the toy's gone forever. Okay, we had toy jail, which was on top of the fridge. Okay, so, and she would eventually get it back. But extinction here is you just flat out ignore the behavior. And that could be part of it. So here we want to ideally reinforce desired behaviors, punish bad behaviors, so that we're increasing the good behaviors and decreasing the bad. We want to use acquisition and potentially extinction, okay, by ignoring behaviors. Okay, how is operant conditioning used in therapy then? Okay, so in therapy, we have a few different things here, and we're going to look at another type of exposure therapy, which is going to be obsessive compulsive disorder, specifically that I'm going to talk about. We could look at this with anxiety and phobias, etc. Okay, so what we're looking at here is that anxiety is the stimulus and the behavior is the compulsion. So this essentially is negative reinforcement. Okay, so every time that, so a person with OCD, okay, let's say it has to do, I'm going to do a, hand washing one, okay? So the person has the anxiety that they have germs on their hands, okay? And that they're going to get sick, okay? So the compulsion then is going to be to wash their hands, which then removes the anxiety. That's that negative reinforcement. Okay, here, can't see. Okay, there it says reinforcement. And then it goes back to being obsessive, okay, because that is only going to take away the thought momentarily. Okay, so I know one case that just a case that I had read, a person was washing their hands 100 times a day. So if you were to wash your hand 100 times a day and didn't sleep, it would be about every 15 minutes. Okay, so, and that's without sleeping. Okay, so if we were to factor in how long and how severe it might be. I know another case, which I think I showed during this unit, would be a woman, sometimes people are into routines. Okay, so like she had to shut the light switch off a certain way. And if she didn't shut off the light switch a certain way, something bad would happen. And she would be like doing that for hours. Okay, so the behavior, and then it's reinforcing it to get rid of the anxiety, and it just strengthens the behavior. So here what has to happen, okay, is, and again, you would do like systematic desensitization, give them the tools, but do not let the subject engage in a compulsion. Okay, do not let the subject engage in it, and then the anxiety will eventually go away. So they may have a panic attack though, depending how severe their OCD is. I know here what I have you doing in your FAST assignment is thinking of something that you were so worried about that you essentially like avoid the behavior, or you avoid it, but then when you actually do it, you find out it's totally fine. Okay, so I want you to think of something like that and explain how like operant conditioning is going to reinforce those thoughts. The other one here is looking at cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, so what this is, and this should be indented more, the C should be underneath the B, like a dot, how it matched, like that one, okay? So I just didn't tab it over. So behaviors reinforce the thoughts. If we change the behavior, we can change the thought. Okay, so an example here would be that somebody is going to, let's say they're really, they have a thought that they can't do anything right, okay, and that they're going to do really bad in school. So maybe they have some test anxiety. So I'm going to fail this test, I'm going to fail this test. Okay, so the behavior then might be avoidance, okay, that they don't take the test or that they don't study. okay, which then is going to influence their thoughts back again. Okay, so what we're looking at here is that if we can change the behavior, we can ultimately change the thoughts. So change the behaviors of actually you have to take the test, or you're going to do this to study, and then you're going to be like, hey, I actually did do better than what I thought, and then it changes the thoughts. Okay, so another example here would be somebody feels like they don't have any friends because no one contacts them, so they change their behavior of calling a friend or texting a friend, and then the friend texts them back. And they're like, oh, maybe I do have people that care about me, okay, and it changes their thoughts. Okay, and then this here in the application would be part B. Okay, and then we are going to get started with this one, okay, because tomorrow we're going to just be focusing on cognition. Okay, so we're switching gears here and looking at biological influences on learning. Now, remember that both Skinner and Watson would have hated this. Like Skinner was pretty much on his deathbed and was like, we will not study biological and cognition within the learning process. Okay, so what we're looking at here is there are other researchers, and these researchers are nice to know, but they're not required for this exam. Okay, and this first researcher is named John Garcia. Now, on the AP test, Garcia could definitely show up. Okay, on mine, I'm more worried about Pavlov, Watson, Skinner, Bandura, okay, for this unit test. But John Garcia, what he had discovered, okay, is that we develop aversions to food and drink. So let me explain this, okay, by talking about this study. So what we have here is we have the neutral stimulus initially is water. Okay, and what happens here is that these rats are going through some type of treatment and they're getting radiation. The radiation makes them nauseous. And what Garcia discovered was that the mice quit drinking their water, okay, because they were associating the water with nausea. Okay, so if we get sick, we associate it with something we ingested, which makes sense, okay, because food, drink can make us sick, like if there's bacteria in it. Okay, he went further by trying to condition them to a sight or a sound, and they never conditioned to it. Okay, so no matter what, they would associate their nausea, their vomiting, with something they ingested, but not to a sight or a sound. So here is a way to remember that Garcia has to do with biological components of classical conditioning. So I want you to picture you go to a restaurant called Garcia's. Okay, I like the chicken chimichanga at Garcia's, really fantastic. Of course, they have free chips, but they charge for guac. It's kind of a ripoff. So we go here to Garcia's, and if I get sick off of my chimichanga, am I going to associate it with the music at the restaurant? No. Am I going to associate it with the lighting at the restaurant? No. Okay, I'm going to associate it with the chimichanga that I ate. Now, I may have some higher order conditioning and never want to eat at Garcia's again. Okay, but ultimately I associate with the food, not the music playing, not the temperature of the room, not the lighting, okay, with the food. Now, let's move on, okay, to with classical, okay, or again, is moving on to Darwin, okay, and natural selection. So when we look at natural selection, this contributed to the survival of the species. Okay, so a good example here would be if you have, let's say you have 20 bugs and they're sitting on a green leaf, okay, and 15 of those bugs are green, 5 are red. Okay, is the bird more likely to eat the green bug or the red bug on a green leaf? Red, because the red bug stands out. Okay, if that bug gets eaten, it has less opportunity to create other species, okay, or to, not another species, but to procreate, okay, to mate. Okay, so those red ones eventually will die out because they'll get eaten and they can't mate. I don't exactly know what bugs do, okay, but, okay, that it's not going to work. So what happens here with humans, we have some traits, okay, according to the theory of evolution, that helped us enable survival. Taste aversion is one of them. Okay, so taste aversion is one. Okay, so my ancestors most likely would develop an aversion to taste. They got violently ill. They associated with the food. They wouldn't eat that food again. Those berries made me sick. I'm staying clear of those berries. Okay, if other people that I was hanging around never made that connection and they kept eating it, they may die and not be able to procreate and pass those defective genes on. Okay, or not defective, just not as helpful for survival. The other one is fears and phobias. Okay, so you need to think about this almost like a genetic memory. Okay, that we pass on phobias from generation to generation. So if we look at spiders, spiders can be poisonous. Okay, so if I'm naturally hesitant to spiders, I avoid them, I'm less likely to get bitten and die, meaning I can pass that on to future generations. If I am afraid of heights, I'm more likely to avoid a high cliff, not fall to my death, pass on DNA. Okay, so what we have here, snakes could be poisonous, kill you, you die. Enclosed spaces, you get buried alive, you die. Like, think of the things that we commonly, and a lot of them have to do with death. Okay, so any questions on that? Okay, so let's move on then to the biological constraints of operant conditioning. Okay, and what we're looking at here, okay, are biological predisposition. So a predisposition means that we are more likely, okay, we have potentially a species has been bred for, okay, it's really this behavior is within them, okay. So a learned behavior is going to reflect a predisposition. So let me give you an example here. Okay, what type of animal do we train to sniff out drugs? Type of animal. Dogs. What specific type of dog do we typically see doing this? German Shepherd. Okay, we're not training cats to do that. I think cats would just be like, no, I don't feel like doing this. Okay, but humans don't have that ability. Okay, what is the dominant sense for a dog? Their nose. Okay, why do we train German Shepherds? Intelligence, trainability, I don't know, okay? But if we were to, if anybody bird hunts, okay, does anybody know what type of dogs you can use for bird hunting? It really depends on the type. Okay, so my brother hunts ducks, he has a lab, okay? Because labs have the coat, they like to go in the water even if it's freezing, they like to retrieve. Labrador retriever, they retrieve the bird. There's some dogs that point out the bird on land. My parents had a Brittany, okay? They were for some type of land bird hunting. Okay, so you have these different things that they are predisposed to do. Okay, I have an example here too, so you can write down dogs, okay, but also a pigeon pecking at a disc, okay? So if we were to look at a pigeon, okay, that how they eat, they peck for their food. So pecking at a disc to get food is not that far of a stretch. Getting the pigeon to spin in a circle, okay, because they are going to get food, that is not a predisposition in them. Okay, so what happens here is we have something called instinctive drift. An instinctive drift is when we revert back to predisposed patterns. So let's say you train the pigeon, okay, to peck at a disc, great. Okay, you train the pigeon to spin in a circle, okay? If it doesn't continue that learning, okay, they're much more likely to drift back to what they're biologically wired to do. Okay, so my example here would be the pigeon that was spinning in a circle may go back to pecking at a disc. I know in the book it talks about pigs learning to pick up these wooden coins and like put it in a box, okay, in order to get food, and they drift back to just pushing it around with their snout. Okay, because that's how they eat, apparently. Okay, so that is going to wrap up this part. Okay, and what I'm going to ask that you do is that you work on applying here. Okay, so let's open this up so I can explain it a little bit. Okay, so here you should finish parts A and B, and tomorrow we will finish parts C and D.